Any changes today?
No, my queen.
The Mother Box has awoken, yet nothing has happened.
It has slept for thousands of years, since the First Age. Why did it wake at all?
Alexa, play the Rings of Power.
Do you believe it?
Alexa, switch to cable.
Steppenwolf.
Mother, millennia in exile, searching. At last, you call me home.
You will not like your welcome.
Oh, I think I will.
You must seal the cage!
Death, run.
Seal the cage!
Keep it moving!
Behold. Which one's for the TV?
Try this, boss. It's Amazon Fire TV Cube with Alexa voice control. It has all your favorite TV shows, movies, and even YouTube. It's easy. Alexa, turn on the TV.
Fantastic. Alexa, play the marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Have your first nervous breakdown.
Whoopsie.
The cubicle is one of the more ironic creations in the American office. The inventor wanted to sort of save people from the anonymous spaces that they were confined to. I think everyone knows the images of what offices were like in the early 20th century. People have seen the show Mad Men, they know that steno pool, or if you've seen the movie The Apartment, where just row after row of desks surrounded by corridors of offices. And Robert Probst, who was the inventor of the office cubicle, he said the office today is a wasteland, we need to fix it effectively. And the solution that he came up with was called the Action Office. A three-walled space, it was fabric-wrapped wood, and the idea was to give workers a space of their own, something that they could personalize. You could pin stuff to the walls, you could shape it the way you needed. So it was really meant to be autonomous, independent. When it debuted, it was a real success. People thought this would totally change the way people worked, and it did, just not quite in the way that they intended. It started to become this tool for companies to cram in as many people as they could into as little space as possible.
And so, Buddy was sent where the special elves work.
The cubicle occupies a very strange place in contemporary culture. I mean, it's definitely one of the most reviled objects in the workplace. I mean, there's Dilbert.
Corporate accounts payable, Nina speaking.
The film Office Space. The cubicle is the symbol of this uncaring, stupid company, basically.
We have sort of a problem here.
And so the fact that people have come to hate the cubicle so much led to various kinds of designs that get rid of cubicles, and this is seen as a kind of liberation. And I think open office plans have a lot to offer in the sense that they do offer interaction. But studies show that people prefer to work in closed-door offices. You find people who are thrown out of cubicle spaces who move into more open spaces actually missing their cubicles. So it's another kind of twist in the history of the office.
I want to make something new, something unimagined. Reach out and touch the world in ways I never could before. On a journey to new possibilities. And it all starts here, on music's biggest stage. With Intel's technology at my fingertips, everything will change. Gaga, Intel.
Before time began, there was the cube.
The Memorial Cube was given to the college by friends and family of a student, Dini Leib Ulen, who died in 1972, and that's the date of the sculpture. Over the years, I've seen students come by this work and interact with it. Indeed, it can spin on its axis, and students have had a great deal of fun with it. And indeed, the work does invite this kind of play and interaction. Now, Tony Rosenthal is a very well-known sculptor, and his works are in collections across the country. This work is closely related to the most famous work that Rosenthal did, and that is his Astor Place Cube, which is titled Alamo, but everybody calls it Astor Place Cube. This is in the East Village in New York, and it too spins on its axis. So this is sort of the little sister, done 4 years later and done at a half scale of the New York work.
What you're about to see is totally classified.
Dear God, what is this?
This is your station? By What am I actually doing here?
I'm not gonna tell you. Don't worry. You're gonna figure it out.
The last time I saw him, he was headed toward Devs. And then he disappears. Something bad happened to him.
You know what happened to him. If you came for answers, ask me what you don't know.
What is Devs?
Fantastic. Oh, I want to hear about the cellist. Is that still a thing?
She moved back to Portland.
This is what they look like. There are two of them. These are from our lab in Burnaby in British Columbia. From the outside, they look like giant black monoliths.
In the movie 2001, Arthur C. Clarke, very high Freemason, gives you the agenda of high Freemasonry, not the schmuckdom Freemasonry, but the high stuff. He gives you their agenda and their philosophy and their religion in the movie. And in the beginning of the movie 2001, made in the 1960s, they show you the ape men, you know, the hairy guys, supposedly. And the hairy guys are terrified of the darkness, and they quiver in their caves at night, and in the morning they go across to the watering hole and they meet this other tribe of ape men, and they shake their fists and so on at each other, go through a little dance, a song and dance, and then they have a drink and sort of muffle off in their own separate ways, and that's how it's been going on forever. And in the little sequences around it, as they're showing you, they show you a pig, you see, as part of their religion, you understand all this later. And they'll show you a little tree branch shaped like a big snake, you see. And you see all these emblems, but these are actually Masonic emblems, occultic, high occultic emblems, you see all through it. And even though the story eventually goes into space, it starts with these cavemen, and an obelisk comes down, this black obelisk. And in the book is more detailed, because the obelisk pulls each caveman out one by one and makes them jump around and stuff, and it's testing them out to see who's got the best smarts. And it picks one of them, and one day at the watering hole, instead of going over and shaking their fists and yelling and screaming and then having a drink and going home, this one picks up a bone, because they love the skull and the crossbones, you know, of masonry, the pirate's flag. He picks up a thigh bone, and then he smashes his enemy over the water hole there, and he kills him. And they're telling you that's the right of might. The right of might. He who will kill is superior. As they give you religions about being meek and mild, they teach another one for themselves. Progress. You see, they have a thing called progress. They hate something called stagnant civilization, arrested civilizations. No, you must have progress. And progress to them is done through those who are willing to kill and become the top chutzpah, the king of the ape men. And then it jumps from there into the future, to the year 2001, and then a space journey occurs, supposedly on the trail of this obelisk that had been on Earth. You know. Ends up on Jupiter, but it's all occultic, it's nothing to do with space travel. There's a Masonic initiation in it. You'll see the computer HAL on board the spaceship traveling to Jupiter, kills off two of the guys that are with them, and then tries to kill off the third guy. He outsmarts it and disables it, meaning he overcame all the natural laws. HAL is the sun, like halogen, you know, halcyon the Greeks, HAL. And HAL, one letter after it, each one, and the alphabet is IBM. You see.
that morning going to the lab, and I was thinking, this is it. This is the last Jeopardy game.
This is Jeopardy, the IBM Challenge.
Here we go. Brad, if you're ready, make your first choice.
Let's take alternate meanings for 200, Alex.
4-letter word for a vantage point or a belief. Brad.
What is a view?
Yes.
After the first clue of the game, which Brad won, I had just this horrible feeling at that moment that he was as good as everyone said he was, and he was just gonna run the whole board on us.
Watson.
What is shoe?
You are right.
We actually took the lead. We were ahead of them, but then we started getting some questions wrong.
Watson.
What is leg?
No, I'm sorry, I can't accept that.
What is 1920s?
No.
What is chic?
No, sorry. Brad.
What is class?
Class, you got it. Watson?
What is Sauron?
Sauron is right, and that puts you into a tie for the lead with Brad.
The Double Jeopardy round of the first game, I thought was phenomenal.
Watson went on a tear.
Watson.
Who is Franz Liszt?
You are right.
What is violin?
Good.
Who is the church lady?
Yes. Watson.
What is narcolepsy?
You are right, and with that, you move to $36,681.
The risk was, Ken gets a daily double, bets big, gets it right, he's gonna be well ahead, and then with that kind of lead going into Final Jeopardy, if he bets enough, he could end up winning the match.
Ken.
What's a committee?
We gotta find that last daily double. We gotta find that last daily double.
It was a crucial moment in the game. There was still a daily double on the board, and it was starting to become pretty clear that it was in the legal ease category.
Let's go to legal ease for 1200.
Watson.
What is executor?
Right.
Same category, 1600.
Answer, daily double.
That was the moment when I knew it's over.
The category is 19th century novelists.
What Watson wants to do then is preserve the lead, not take a big risk, especially with Final Jeopardy, because just like for humans, Final Jeopardy is hard for Watson.
Now we come to Watson, who is Bram Stoker, and the wager. Hello, 17,973, and a two-day total of 77,147.
I would have thought that technology like this was years away, but it's here now. I have the bruised ego to prove it.
My past Jeopardy experiences have been great, but they weren't really weighty with this kind of technological, philosophical importance. I think we saw something important today.
Didn't really think very much about the implications until later and say, wow, wait a second, this is history.
Of course, this whole project is not ultimately about playing Jeopardy. It's about doing research and deep analytics and a natural language understanding. This is about taking the technology and applying it to solve problems people really care about. We're just so excited about all the things we can do with this.
I had thought this is the end. We get there, we're done. And I'm realizing it's just the beginning.
You speak it as I beam, the beam from the eye of Ra. The beaming from the eye is between the pyramid, the capstone, and the rest of the pyramid.
Well, I'm not spying. Aha, here it is. I summon the all-seeing eye to tear a hole into the sky. Reveal to me that which is hidden. Unveil to me what is forbidden.
So everything is shown to you. It's not necessary that you understand. It's only necessary that you think you understand. Whenever it comes out of these movies, chomping away there, you know, wow, it's a good movie, what's next? I have no idea what it means. And in 2010, as a follow-up to the movie, and it shows you what's supposed to happen in 2010. And so this big thing at the end where this guy who escaped the computer, remembers, in the next movie, he's timeless, he's ageless, he's become a god because he overcame Halcyon, you see, the sun, the natural order. He overcame all the laws, and he's a god. And a new sun appears in the sky. But as above, so below, so a new sun will appear on earth, a messiah, a being, an entity, whatever it is, that they bring forth to you with much hullabaloo and fanfare, I'm sure. But they're telling you their system, that they show you their religion, from evolution, which is their belief system, both physical and spiritual, because they do believe in reincarnation, but they don't believe that everybody reincarnates.
Being down here now, as different as it looks, I still have those visuals, those images in my mind, in my head. We're on, as a nation, mission now. Suicide bombers, it happens in Israel on a daily basis. Those are the things we have to be careful of now. We have to watch for now.
Do you expect a suicide bomb like struck the North Tower of the World Trade Center 1 year ago? Hundreds of people have gathered here at Ground Zero to mark the anniversary in what is expected to be, we tell you that the anniversary ceremony will also include several moments of silence, marking the times that the hijacked jets place roses on the site for a flower arrangement that will be turned into.
Good morning everybody, hope you guys doing alright. Pedro here. We are in New York, and as I've been here a lot of times, I didn't know what to do this time. And I remember on that video about the hidden places here in New York, in the end of the video it started raining and thunderstorms and I couldn't go to the last place. It's called the meditation room in the United Nations headquarters.
So we passed through security and we got into United Nations building. We are just outside of it and we're gonna get in now. They didn't keep my camera though. Let's go in.
Through the simplicity of this place, people with many faiths can meet here. The light spot hits the surface of the rock as a symbol of how the light of the sky gives life to earth in which we stand. The stone in the middle of the room, you may see it as an altar, empty not because there is no God, but because it's an altar to an unknown God, who man worships in many names and different forms. The block of iron ore weighs about 6.5 tons, and it's a reminder of the endurance and faith in which human endeavor must be based.
If there are technologies being built on this side, like the quantum computers that I'm going to launch into here in a moment, in its relevancy to the temple, Herod's temple, then would it not be reasonable to assume or to expect that these technologies that we are seeing that I call evidence of evil, such as AI, quantum computing, DNA modification, transhumanism, uploading our consciousness into a computer, robotics that are displacing people, I consider that evidence of evil. Would it not be reasonable to then assume and expect that those same technologies pre-exist on the other side? I'm talking about the spiritual side. I contend that they must. We've laid out in many shows the process of communication, whether you're talking geomancy or quantum computers, whether you're talking about spiritual rituals, whatever form or device or methodology of communication, it is communication with the other side. You can't separate the spiritual from the physical. The spiritual is here. But if you're communicating with fallen angels, if you're communicating with evil deities, then the information in that communication process that is derived results in the technologies that I would consider to be evil technologies that are not beneficial to mankind, that are detrimental, that are an existential threat to mankind.
This is the Cube, where simple tasks become epic challenges.
This is very hard. Come on!
7 games, 9 lives, £250,000.
Have you got what it takes to beat the Cube?
On my homepage, you will see a short video clip, but it has a thumbnail of Herod's temple with the quantum chip positioned at the Holy of Holies. And that's my specific point here, folks. The Holy of Holies in the temple itself is a communication doorway, a portal. Now, in the sense of communing with God, it is the Holy of Holies for the communicating with God. But if you look at the blueprint, literally, the blueprint of Herod's temple, and this is similar with Solomon's temple, it is similar even with Greek and Roman temples, pardon me. The temples are arranged in a specific fashion so as to enhance the communication, either in the case of the Greeks and the Romans with, their deities, their little g gods, or in the case of communing with God the Creator, who I, as a Christian, consider to be the only God that there is. If the Holy of Holies is placed within the temple in an exclusion zone that is excluded from the exterior, and I want you to focus on that, the exclusion. It is an area of isolation. The Holy of Holies is behind 6-cubit thick walls. A cubit is 1.7 feet. Okay? We're talking about 6 cubit walls. That's 10 foot thick walls. Why would you isolate the Holy of Holies behind thick walls? Well, sure. If you have invaders, you don't want invaders being able to have easy access to your Holy of Holies. But here's one correlation I'm going to offer you that has to do with quantum physics and has to do with specifically the design of D-Wave's quantum computers. The qubits are isolated in a black cube. That cube is constructed of multiple layers of shielding material. The purpose of the shielding is to block electromagnetic waves, energy waves, microwaves, radio waves, gamma rays, even X-rays, from entering that refrigerated environment that's down at around 15 Kelvin. The reason it's so cold is so that they can achieve superconductivity in the materials that they're using in the chipset. And that reduces decoherence, it reduces errors. It maintains the state of quantum entanglement between qubits, okay? But why the shielding around it also is to maintain that coherence, to eliminate as much as possible any interference from the outside. That is exactly the same scenario that you find with the construction of the 1.7 qubit walls. One qubit is 1.7 feet. It's 6 qubits. It's 10 feet thick, each wall. I offered to you as a design intended to shield the Holy of Holies from the outside, from the influences, as well as for security purposes. But let's get a little bit bigger on our example. If you're at anthonypatch.com and you look at my homepage, you can see what I'm seeing. Herod's Temple and the chipset. In the magazine, we do a series of overlays that Kev produced for me, of photographs that we explained extensively in the webinars and we are presenting in the magazine. If you look at the wire connections that extend out from the chipset, and you look at the direction in which those wires are laid out, and you look at the connecting points, all of those things around the perimeter, which in the case of the temple itself are the outside perimeter walls with the area of the Gentiles inside, looks exactly the same as how D-Wave designed the architecture for their chipset. Within the Holy of Holies of the temple is where the communication takes place.
metal boxes.
Big black
about 10 feet on a side, 12 feet tall. And they are powered, they have a fridge inside them, a refrigerator that cools these chips to almost absolute zero. Just a wisp, a fraction of a degree above absolute zero. Amongst the coldest and most isolated and extreme conditions that humans have ever been able to engineer.
City in the world to be made truly safe.
Then he will take it.
They're gonna mess up my tomatoes!
You will crush our enemies.
These fridges, interestingly enough, which are called pulse tube dilution refrigerators, have a thing called a pulse tube, which emits a sound roughly once per second, which sounds eerily like a heartbeat.
Welcome to Sounds of IBM.
Listen close.
So if you have the opportunity to stand next to one of these machines,
Listen close.
it is an awe-inspiring thing,
Right
at least for me.
Right here.
It feels like an altar to an alien god. They really are impressive machines.
We think when he made his approach over the North Pole, our gravitational field screwed up his telemetry. He crashed in the ice, probably a few thousand years ago. We shipped him here to this facility in 1934.
Call him NBE-1.
Well, sir, I don't mean to correct you on everything you think you know, but I mean, that's Megatron. He's the leader of the Decepticons.
He's been in cryostasis since 1935. Your great-great-grandfather made one of the greatest discoveries in the history of mankind.
Fact is, you're looking at the source of the modern age. Microchip, lasers, spaceflight, cars, all reverse engineered by studying him. NBE-1.
This is the only principle you need to understand. Nothing ever happens without a reason. Everything was determined by something prior.
They're fanatics. We need the police.
You want to take them down? It's impossible.
You knew I was going to come here.
The sense that you were participating in life was only ever an illusion. Life is just something we watch unfold.
What's inside? Everything.
When you move it, you're sort of making gestures or dancing with it. Another example of the interactions that this inspires.
That's you and I, as the Masonic Illuminati sees us, as mindless apes bowing and worshiping their demonic black obelisk of Masonic wisdom and Luciferian light. Their cube, so they think, that's going to spark and create this new world order, this Luciferian Antichrist system that's about to come upon the entire world. All symbolized by events taking place in our day and age. 9/11. That was one of their events.
would you like a drink, Doctor?
Oh, no, thank you. As a matter of fact, I haven't had breakfast yet. Someone's meeting me in the restaurant. No, if you don't mind, I'll just sit with you a few minutes, and then I must be off.
Are you quite sure?
Quite sure, thank you.
May I ask you a straightforward question?
Oh, certainly.
Quite frankly, we have had some very reliable intelligence reports that quite a serious epidemic has broken out at clinics. Something apparently of an unknown origin. Is this in fact what has happened?
Sorry, Dr. Smithlow, but I'm really not at liberty to discuss this.
I understand. But this epidemic could quite easily spread to our base. We should be given all the facts, Dr. Floyd.
Yes, I know. As I said, I'm not at liberty to discuss it. Now, I know there have been some conflicting views held by some of you regarding the need for complete security in this matter. More specifically, your opposition to the cover story, created to give the impression there's an epidemic at the base. I understand that beyond it being a matter of principle, many of you are troubled by the concern and anxiety this story of an epidemic might cause to your relatives and friends on Earth. Now, I'm sure you're all aware of the extremely grave potential for cultural shock and social disorientation contained in this present situation, if the facts were prematurely and suddenly made public without adequate preparation and conditioning. Well, I think that's about it. Any questions?
Do you know what I'm talking about?
The Matrix.
Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
Come with me on a journey of imagination. Pretend, my friend, just for a little while, that you have never seen light before. Imagine all your life you have been living in total darkness. But you're not alone. There are people around you, but you have never seen their faces, nor have you seen your own face. All you have ever known was darkness, pitch black darkness. Then, all of a sudden, something happens. You are hearing some unfamiliar voices. They are coming closer and closer. And for the first time in your life, you see the flickering of a light. Strangers have entered your darkness. You're holding your breath. More and more strangers are arriving. They bring amazing things you never knew existed. They talk about ideas you have never heard before. Everyone around you marvels at these strangers. It's impossible to take your eyes off them. And with time, these visitors are no longer strangers. They have become friends with everyone around you. And yet, you sense something odd about them. Who are they, you wonder? Where do they come from? You need to know. And then you do something amazing, something that no one else around you has ever done before. You stand up and turn around. You are blinded by the light. But soon your eyes adjust. And then you see it. You see where these strangers come from and who they are. You have discovered their secret. These strangers are not real. They are projections. They are shadows. It's all an illusion, a trick by some crafty puppeteers.
Right now, we're inside a computer program.
Is it really so hard to believe? Your clothes are different, the plugs in your arms and head are gone. Your hair has changed. Your appearance now is what we call residual self-image. It is the mental projection of your digital self.
This isn't real.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain. This is the world that you know.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
United Nations headquarters, which was built in 1945 and financed largely by John D. Rockefeller. Inside UN headquarters is an ominous meditation room. The custodian of the meditation room is Lucis Trust Company. At one time, the Lucis Trust was located at 666 United Nations Plaza and was formally named Lucifer Publishing Company. The Rockefeller-funded UN meditation room is 33 feet long and 18 feet wide. 18 feet is 6 plus 6 plus 6. The small, dimly lit, windowless room was built in the shape of a pyramid that is laying on its side. At the center of the room is a 4-foot-high, black, casket-shaped stone slab which weighs 6.5 tons and is extremely magnetic and rests on a concrete pillar. The pillar descends beneath the floor into the bedrock and taps into the Earth's hyperdimensional energies to induce a state of altered consciousness. Not far from the meditation room is the United Nations Security Council chamber. This is the emergency room of the UN, where the world leaders meet when there is a threat to peace. They decide the fate of nations. Even though Israel has over 200 uninspected nuclear weapons and has violated dozens of resolutions, no sanctions are ever imposed because of the United States' veto powers. Notice the giant mural that towers over the Security Council room. The central focus of the UN mural is the phoenix bird that has risen. The phoenix bird is a symbol of Lucifer. Egyptians believed that the phoenix symbolized a god who rose to heaven in the form of a morning star like Lucifer after his fire immolation of death and rebirth. Notice that the phoenix bird is not standing above his own ashes. He is standing above his old skin. Like a snake, he has shed his old skin and is revealing himself as God at the center of the mural. At the top left, there is a church steeple without a cross. The missing cross symbolizes the death of Christianity. Below, a woman receives the rays of the sun god, while the man in front of her plays Pan's flute. To their right are two pyramid symbols and people joined together by a long blue serpent-like cloth. Below the risen phoenix, a sword is driven through a dragon beast. This represents the killing of old beliefs and religions that depicted Lucifer as a beast. The New World religion worships him as beautiful. Behind the phoenix, the ghostly figures of the walking dead are stepping into a void. They symbolize depopulation. On the right panel, the pale horse from the book of Revelation is the bringer of death to humanity through weapons, hunger, and disease. The man is releasing him. The chained black man represents slavery, while the top panel of the mural shows a technologically advanced white race who control industry, art, and science. In this post-apocalyptic mural, the military man standing on the tail of the beast represents worldwide military power. He tips his helmet to the elite, who are climbing out from underground cities where they safely hid from the apocalypse. In the main oval panel above the phoenix bird, a woman is holding flowers. She is the bride in a wedding ceremony. Who are these newlyweds that are kneeling submissively beneath the serpent in the overhead tree? Could the newlyweds symbolize William and Kate? The serpent in human form is tempting the little girl Eve, who accepts the apple. On the right side of the top panel, a reptilian green creature with scaly skin is dancing with a naked woman while musicians entertain him. The general message of the UN's Phoenix Rising mural is that humanity is stepping into a new Luciferic reality. Beneath this disturbingly prophetic mural, world leaders make global decisions that affect the lives of nearly 7 billion people. What's hard for most people to grasp is that our elected government leaders are involved in an apocalyptic scheme to enslave the masses under a world government dictatorship. How do these leaders sleep at night? How do they live with themselves?
The idea of a bioterrorist attack is kind of the nightmare scenario because they're a pathogen with a high death rate would be picked. Now, the good news is, I'm not trying to depress you, it's tough enough right now, that most of the work we're going to do to be ready for pandemic 2, I call this pandemic 1.
The soft metals will cause them to lose their minds. We will promise to find a cure from our many fronts, yet we will feed them more poison. The poisons will be absorbed through their skin and mouths. They will destroy their minds and reproductive systems. They will see our products being used in films and will grow accustomed to them and will never know their true effect. When they give birth, we will inject poisons into the blood of their children and convince them that it's for their health. We will start early on when their minds are young.
Taiwan, New Zealand, Australia, they took their experience and actually prepared, and so they moved a lot faster. So we, we'll have to prepare for the next one. That, I'd say is will get attention this time.
Will get attention this time.
We will target their children with what children love most, sweet things. When their teeth decay, we will fill them with metals that will kill their minds and steal their future. When their ability to learn has been affected, we will create medicines that will make them sicker and cause other diseases for which we will create yet more medicine. We will render them docile and weak, so they succumb to us and our power. They will grow depressed, slow and obese. And when they come to us for help, we will give them more poison.
I want to thank you all for being here to discuss a critical issue for our country's future. Winning the race to be the world's leading provider of 5G, cellular communications, networks. It's all about 5G now.
Check. Check. Okay, Neville.
In T-minus 3, 2, 1. Ready to launch. Hit the button.
Here we go. It's working. It's working.
Nationwide 5G is live.
Yeah. And we're just getting started.
And wait until they see what's next.
We will use fear as our weapon. We will establish their governments and establish opposites within. We will own both sides. We will always hide our objective, but carry out our plan. They will perform the labor for us, and we shall prosper from their toil. Our families will never mix with theirs. Our blood must be pure, always, for it is the way. We will keep them separated from the oneness by dogma and religion. We will control all aspects of their lives. We will make them kill each other when it suits us, and tell them what to think and how. We will guide them kindly and gently, letting them think they are guiding themselves. We will incite animosity between them through our factions. When a light shall shine among them, we shall extinguish it by ridicule or death, whichever suits us best. We will make them rip each other's hearts out and kill their own children. We will accomplish this by using hate as our ally, anger as our friend. Hate will blind them totally. Never shall they see that from their conflicts we emerge as their rulers. They will be busy killing each other. They will bathe in their own blood and kill their neighbors for as long as we see fit. We will benefit greatly from this, for they will not see us, for they cannot see us. We will continue to prosper from their wars and their deaths. We shall repeat this over and over until our ultimate goal is accomplished. We will continue to make them live in fear and anger through images and sounds. We will use all the tools we have to accomplish this. The tools will be provided by their labor. We will make them hate themselves and their neighbors. This they must never know. We will always hide the divine truth from them, that we are all one. They must never know that color is an illusion. They must always think that they are not equal. Drop by drop, we will advance our goal. Laws that will steal the little freedom that they have. We will establish a money system that will imprison them forever, keeping them and their children in debt. When they shall band together, we shall accuse them of crimes and present a different story to the world. For we will own all the media. We will use our media to control the flow of information and their sentiment in our favor.
Mr. President, earlier this year you told us you had ordered your administration to cease and desist on payments to journalists to promote your agenda. You cited the need for ethical concerns and the need for a bright line between the press and the government. Your administration continues to make the use of video news releases, which are prepackaged news stories sent to television stations, fully aware that some or many of these stations will air them without any disclaimer that they are produced by the government. Comptroller General of the United States this week said that raises ethical questions. Does it raise ethical questions about the use of government money to produce stories about the government that wind up being aired with no disclosure that they were produced by the government?
There is a Justice Department opinion that says these pieces are within the law so long as they're based upon facts, not advocacy. And I expect our agencies to adhere to that ruling, to that Justice Department opinion. This has been a long-standing practice of the federal government to use these types of videos. Agricultural Department, as I understand, has been using these videos for a long period of time. The Defense Department, other departments have been doing so. It's important that they be based upon the guidelines set out by the Justice Department. Now, I think it'd be helpful if local stations then disclose to their viewers if that's, that this was based upon a factual report and they chose to use it. But evidently in some cases that's not the case. So anyway.
When they shall rise up against us, we will crush them like insects, for they are less than that. They will be helpless to do anything, for they will have no weapon. They must never learn this truth, for they will turn against us. For their work, they will be rewarded with earthly things and great titles, but never will they become immortal and join us. Never will they receive the light and travel the stars. They will never reach the higher realms, for the killing of their own kind will prevent passage to the realm of enlightenment. This they will never know. The truth will be hidden in their face. It will be so close that they will not be able to focus on it until it's too late.
Hilton Hotel. You can see it in the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey. Blatantly, just there it is, put there in the Hilton Hotel in space. They both check their watches. So they're telling you a little time story right there, how this is all dealing with time. And remember now, the original script was dealing with Saturn, not Jupiter. And Saturn deals with time. When you look at the original Millennium Hotel that was built in front of the Twin Towers, it's an obelisk. They intentionally built it to look like the obelisk in 2001, and they even say so. In the original script, of course, it's a cube that they changed. The logo of the Hilton Hotel is two twin towers within the all-seeing eye. It also is a pause button. A pause button stops time. It freezes time. It's also a 6, which is a 9. It's 666, and it's all in the movie. When you look at another one of their hotels, it shows like a split down the middle, representing like 9/11 Twin Towers falling over. There are 5 pillars on each side, and it's split down the middle, and that's for the center column in all of the designs of Freemasonry. It's all there, represented. The monolith Hilton Hotel, representing the monolith. They even said that that's what it represents, officially. And there it stood in the middle, and it still stands to this day. The monolith, the center invisible pillar cube that survived the disaster. Well, now, I found this footage on YouTube. It was shot by somebody else. And what I found interesting is he shot it from the Hilton Millennium Hotel that's built in the shape of the monolith from 2001. Still standing to this day. And he's shooting outside of the window, looking at the 2 memorials for the Twin Towers and the Freedom Building and some other buildings. I mean, don't you find it strange that this thing survived? I mean, they really planned this out pretty well. They made only what they wanted to come down. The perfect demolition, but that's how they did it. Intentionally making sure that this monolith cube represents their Illuminati wisdom, which is that small center. If you look at Masonic pictures of the 2 columns, you'll see in the middle there's this, there it is, this little smaller column or cube or monolith or obelisk right there. And this is how they brought it in. The Freedom Tower represents this wisdom, this new world order that they want to bring upon all of us. I've read it's supposedly supposed to be 1,776 feet tall. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know how to confirm that, but looking on the internet, this is what I've read, this is what I've seen. Now, if that is the case, they are most definitely not referring to America's birth of 1776, but to the Illuminati's birth of 1776, because that's who they are and that's who did this. And also, in the same video, look at these memorials to the two towers, the two twin towers here. Look at those things. They're square holes in the ground. There you got waterfalls running on the sides, and in the center is like another black hole, cube, square, black pit.
Oh yes, so grand will the illusion of freedom be that they will never know that they are our slaves. When all is in place, the reality that we have created from them will own them. This reality will be their prison. They will live in self-delusion. When our goal is accomplished, a new era of domination will begin. Their minds will be bound by their beliefs, the beliefs we have established from time immemorial. But if ever they find out that they are equal, we shall perish. This they must never know. If they ever find out that together they can conquer us, they will take action. They must never, ever find out what we have done, for if they do, we shall have no place to run, for it will be easy to see who we are once the veil has fallen.
What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
You feel angry. How could we have been so fooled, you wonder? Your eyes are drawn to the flickering light of the lamp that throws the shadows on the wall. You had never seen anything like this before, and then you discover something else. Something that makes your heart jump. You see a brilliant light, much brighter than the light of the lamp. It is streaming into the darkness from where you came. You realize that you are in a cave, and that you have found an opening that leads to a world outside. And as you step out of the cave, your eyes hurt. You are dazzled by this bright light. You see the sun for the very first time. It is magnificent and powerful. You feel the warmth going right to your heart. You see trees, flowers, animals, and they are all real, alive. You have never imagined anything like this before. You are so excited. I need to tell the others. You race to the cave. You stumble back into darkness. You go deeper and deeper into the cave. Listen, everybody, you say. These strangers are not real. They are just shadows. A trick, make-believe. We are in a cave. But I found a way out of here. There is a real world outside with sunshine and colors and animals and flowers. Come, everybody, I will show you.
Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself.
But nobody believes you. Don't talk nonsense, they say. Sit down. Be quiet. Shut up. No more lies. The more you talk, the angrier they get with you. Finally, you give up. Okay, you say to yourself, someday they will find out for themselves. But then you hear somebody asking, can you show us that world?
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back.
It exists now only as part of a neural interactive simulation that we call the Matrix. You've been living in a dream world, Neo. This is the world as it exists today.
To order, brethren, to receive the most worshipful, the Grand Master.
Self-evident, Brother Franklin. All men are created equal.
Indeed, Brother Washington. All Freemasons meet as equals, and we have an opportunity to create a nation in the very essence of Masonic morality. It would be wonderfully symbolic, don't you think?
You'll be wanting to put the all-seeing eye on our banknotes next.
You think I'm taking it a bit far?
Please don't ask me questions like that, Brother Franklin. You know I cannot tell a lie.
Oh, come on, Brother Washington. Everybody lies occasionally, surely, especially politicians.
Not me. Not even so much as an alternative fact.
But we must all be aware of fake news.
The people must be free to think what they like as well. We can have no thought police in our new society. The foundation stone of our new nation built on all those principles that we hold dear.
The plans for our new capital city already have a very Masonic feel to them, yeah.
Candidate for initiation into the order, I'm giving him a little introduction into some of our mysteries. These two gentlemen are founding an entire nation built on our principles.
We have great promises for our new nation. You know, I wonder if other presidents after me will also be Freemasons.
Many will be. And Freemasonry will become embedded in the American culture. And the eye will appear on the banknotes.
Oh, God.
These principles will be honored with a gift from your French brethren. A gift that will be a welcoming beacon to the poor and oppressed.
This is the statue we are giving you.
It's a bit small, isn't it?
Oh, this is a maquette. The real thing is bigger. Much, much bigger.
America will produce a great many great Americans from many different walks of life and many different fields, and many will be Masons. Sportsmen, actors, writers, soldiers, filmmakers, businessmen, inventors, astronauts.
What on earth is an astronaut?
No, they're not.
I don't follow.
Well, they're not on Earth, they're in space. In fact, Brother Buzz Aldrin was the second man to walk upon the surface of the moon.
That's the best thing I've heard this evening.
What, that a Mason walked on the moon?
Man on the moon. Amazing.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen, so in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something stopped in the past that we wanted to keep it going.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
Well, yeah, people come out and they've run out of anecdotes, you know, and they just start making stuff up.
Yeah.
Like that Neil Armstrong guy. Have you seen him on the talk shows?
Neil Armstrong, you mean the first man to walk on the moon?
Talk about a fish story. Man, and they're buying it.
Oh, yeah.
But don't forget the musicians. Do not forget the musicians.
Authoritarian and totalitarian regimes continue to suppress Freemasonry, afraid of its strong heritage of liberty and equality.
It symbolizes the inevitability of your end.
The British Army had travelling lodges that moved with regiments. Freemasons have served their countries and communities with distinction.
Freemasons met across the Union and Confederate divide to celebrate their common rituals.
And today, Freemasonry remains an active part of military life in many countries.
Freemasonry has burned as a blazing fire through the last 3 centuries. The driving force behind the Royal Society was initiated into Freemasonry.
Prince Edward, Duke of Kent, father of Queen Victoria, and Prince Augustus, Duke of Sussex. The 2 princes brought their feuding Grand Lodges together and reconciled to be the United Grand Lodge of England.
Kings George IV, William IV, Edward VII, Edward VIII, and George VI were all Freemasons, as were 18 dukes and princes, including the Duke of Edinburgh.
This year, His Royal Highness Prince Edward, the Duke of Kent, celebrates his 50th year as Grand Master of the United Grand Lodge of England.
His Royal Highness was proposed into Freemasonry by the then Grand Master, the Earl of Scarborough.
He was initiated into Royal Alpha Lodge number 16, an advocate for the craft all over the world, continuing 3 centuries of distinguished royal tradition at the very heart of English Freemasonry.
To order, brethren, to receive the most worshipful, the Grand Master.
As permanent master of these 3 lodges, I now call on my deputy masters.
Most worshipful Grand Master.
Most worshipful Grand Master. Most worshipful Grand Master.
Most worshipful Grand Master, I humbly ask you to complete the initiation of this worthy candidate for Freemasonry.
Adorn our ceremonies and forever remind us of our incomparable heritage, the birth of organized Freemasonry,
stressing the deep and sincere loyalty and affection felt by the brethren of the United Grand Lodge of England for their Grand Master.
I had the pleasure of meeting 136 Grand Masters visiting from overseas at Freemasons Hall yesterday. Today, though, we are a meeting of more than 4,000 gathered from all around the world, from our own constitution and beyond. When the global Masonic family comes together to celebrate our past and renew our own pride and confidence in and enthusiasm for Freemasonry.
I hereby read the text of a letter sent today to Buckingham Palace. May it please your Majesty, we, the representatives of over 200,000 Freemasons under the United Grand Lodge of England, most respectfully express our continuing loyalty to your Majesty's throne and person in this, the 66th year of your long and distinguished reign, of His Royal Highness the Duke of Kent, as our much-loved and greatly respected Grand Master. We humbly thank God for preserving our order and fervently pray His blessings on your Majesty, so that our loyal devotion to your Majesty may long continue. Given at the Royal Albert Hall this 31st day of October, Anno Domini 2017. Her Majesty has been pleased to reply in the following terms. The Queen has asked me to thank you for your kind letter of loyal greetings on behalf of the representatives of the Freemasons under the United Grand Lodge of England, which are being celebrated on the 31st of October at the Royal Albert Hall. Her Majesty appreciated your thoughtfulness in writing as you did.
We leave the Royal Albert Hall even more proud of our ancient institution.
Worldwide, Freemasonry remains as important and relevant as ever. A global society of perhaps 6 million people.
As the globe embraced Freemasonry, enlightenment came.
I may not agree with what you say, but I shall defend to the death your right to say it.
None is more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free.
Coat of arms of Donald Trump, what does it actually represent?
Well, this is rather interesting, actually. This is arcane Scottish heraldic law providing evidence of Donald Trump's deep Anglophilia, I would say, and also touches upon the royal prerogative. There we have the double-headed eagle representing his Scottish Germanic heritage.
The Masonic CHIP program uses modern police-approved techniques to create a child identification kit.
And we take fingerprints. We also provide them with a swab for getting a DNA swab. And we also provide them with imprint where they can get an imprint of the child's teeth. So not only does it provide DNA as well as a swab, but it is also a source if you were using tracking dogs to provide a scent for the child.
You may be surprised to see who we found using tricks to cover up their license plates.
Apparently, they're law enforcement.
You know, in Hollywood and in the industry and the stuff we do, there's a lot of like insider secrets to keeping your career going, and a lot of insider secrets to making things tick.
I believe if you go to these places, I'm sure it just sucks energy like a vampire from people's hearts and souls and minds. I'm sure it leaves you with a dead feeling inside. These memorials they aren't normal. They're not right. This is evil stuff. There you go. The Freedom Tower. Oh man.